Hello everyone, welcome back to this channel. If you haven't been here before, hi, my name is Noah and I'm a Cuban living in Romania, and in this video I want to share with you some of the cultural shocks that I had ever since I got here. And trust me, I thought I didn't have as many cultural shocks, and that's why I didn't make a video of this before, but I have been thinking for a couple of days and I realized that I do have a lot more of cultural shocks than I thought. So these are the ones that I will be talking about. If you like this kind of video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, because that's gonna help me so much. First thing that I want to talk about, this is not something that happens specifically here in Romania, but like when you come from a place like Cuba, for example, we don't have this kind of technology, to say it somehow. So you know, like when you're gonna ask for food in these fast chain restaurants, that you would need to go to the machine and ask, not directly with the person, but like if you were ordering from your phone, but from the little machine. Well, so this is the first cultural shock that I had, because in Cuba, of course, we don't have this. This is something that it's so embarrassing to tell. But like the first time that we were out and we were going to order something to eat, and the first time that I had to encounter myself with these machines, I tried to avoid them as much as I could, because I didn't want it to be like embarrassed of not knowing how to use them. Also, at the beginning, I didn't understand any Romanian, so it was kind of difficult for me to try to change the language of the machine and stuff. But I say this now and it's so silly, but at that time, at that moment in my life, I was so anxious because I didn't know how to use those machines. And there's nothing difficult about using those machines. Anyone could, because you just go there, touch the machine and order what you want. But yeah, at that time, for me, that was kind of like a shock, because I'd never saw that before. And so trying to order from those machines for me was like hell. I was trying to stay away as much as I could. We would order in English, and yeah, mostly we would get along with that. And I decided that it was already time for me to stop being afraid of those machines. And so I started ordering food there, and I realized there was absolutely nothing complicated about it. And then I am leaning towards the machines. If I have the option, I will always choose the machine, because I don't have to interact with people, and then I don't have to make mistakes in Romanian. So another thing that for me was kind of like a cultural shock, it has to do with like friends. And this is something that I'm not sure if this is completely specific from Romanian people, or this is just something that people do outside of my country, or something that I'm not used to. When you're communicating with your friends in WhatsApp or text message and whatever, they will take hours to answer, maybe days to answer. I mean, not everyone is the same, not everyone acts the same, but this is something that's been kind of shocking for me, because most of the time I have my phone close to me, mostly because if my family texts or my husband texts, I will want to be close to the phone to be able to answer to them. It is not like everyone in Cuba is holding their phones like all the time in their hands, but like everyone has this thought that if there's something urgent that's gonna happen, you need to have your phone on site. If anyone calls for an emergency, if anyone calls for whatever reason, you want to be locatable. Is that a word? But here is kind of shocking, because most people usually will have their phones close to them, but still they prioritize whatever that they're doing, and they will not answer until they're free to answer, or they want to answer, whatever. Right now, this is not an issue for me. At first, it was kind of shocking, but right now, this is just something that I completely understand, because you have your things to do, you're busy, or maybe you just don't feel like answering and you shouldn't. And that is just something that I'm accepting, and I'm also incorporating into my day-to-day. But still, I will always be like reachable to my friends and family whenever they need me. I will always have my phone around, just in case. This next subject is about music. So the first time that I came to Bucharest specifically, I came with my uncles, and we went out dancing and stuff, and we encountered these little bars in the center of the city, like in the center of the old town, and they had some curious names. One of them is called El Comandante, and is filled with photos photos of Elche. Even though he was not Cuban, he was Argentinian, he did live a lot in Cuba and he fought in war. So he's like kind of like a historical figure in my country. The other part is called El Dictador, and it's filled with Fidel Castro's photos. Fidel Castro is the dictator of Cuba, was the dictator of Cuba for many, many, many years. And to have these bars that they're kind of like thematic of Cuba in a place that is so far away from my country is completely insane. That was not it. The other thing is that in those places they played reggaeton, and they've even played Cuban reggaeton songs. And I was like, what? Blown away completely, because I never in my life thought that Romanians would like reggaeton. I never in my life thought that Romanians would like to listen Spanish songs, Latin American songs, like reggaetons and Latin rhythms. I never thought you would like that. In my mind, I did have an idea of where Romania was. I knew where Romania was located on the map and stuff, but culturally, I didn't have a lot of knowledge about the Romanian culture, because it is a very far away country and we just didn't have enough information to learn about Romania. Never in my life I would have imagined that you would like that kind of music. Never in my life I would have imagined you would have manele here, that is kind of like reggaeton. I, in my mind, thought that Romanians were kind of like, I don't know, Germans or another kind of European that didn't precisely have those kind of genres in which you dance a little more with your butt than your feet. And yeah, it was so shocking for me to find out that you have this. It is so shocking. Not today. Today it is just normal for me. I like manele. I said in a video before that I didn't like manele, but now I do. It reminds me of those rhythms. It has something. Don't judge me. But yeah, that is a big shock for me. It still shocks me today to think that somewhere really far away they played a Cuban song of reggaeton in a bar. I was like, what is this? Where are we? Another of the things that shocked me so much is how many languages people speak here. It is amazing to encounter people that speak that many languages. For example, in my country, in Cuba, not many people speak English, not many people speak other languages. Meeting someone that actually speaks fluently another language, it is not something that's common. So since it is not something that's common, of course, it is interesting for me to be able to see how many people here have the ability of catching up languages really quick. For example, in my job, everyone speaks at least 3 languages. But that's something that really catches my eye, because it's not something that only people in my job does, but like you can find anyone around here and they speak Italian, they speak Spanish, they speak English, they speak German, they speak, I don't know, Danish or Norwegian. You have a lot of facility for languages, and that's something that should be encouraged, not only here, but like everywhere else. Because learning a language is like being able to communicate with a lot more people than you already have. That's fascinating. I've always wanted to speak at least 3 languages. I'm working on my Romanian at the moment, which seems to be the most complicated of all, because the way that I learned English when I was little was just by myself and watching movies and maybe watching some TV shows and listening to music and through games. Of course, they do teach you English at school, but the English that they teach you is so basic. From the first grade that you start learning English till the end of high school, you would say, you are still learning the same. So the amount of information that you get from those lessons is nearly zero. Like you will never be able to speak fluently a language with the information that they give you in every course, because it is the exact same thing. For me, learning English was not difficult, but it is being a little bit difficult to learn Romanian. Now I do think that I understand more. I'm watching the news, I'm watching TV shows, and I'm involved a little bit more with the music. Still, I am a little bit afraid of talking. I'm a little bit afraid of talking, and I'm a little bit afraid of showing off what I've learned. But I can totally read, I can totally understand every news that come out. And yeah, I'm working on my 3rd language, and I am a little behind with you guys, because you speak so many languages, and that is just so amazing. So well, I just wanted to say that because it is something that amazes me still today. Another thing that kind of was a shock, but then I got used to here, was the amount of people going on the public transportation, and they're all quiet. They're all like not playing loud music, not talking loudly. And if they are talking, they're talking like super in a, nice level, in which is not bothering anyone. But in Cuba, for example, when you go out to any place and you would need to go by public transportation, someone would come with a speaker or they will be talking super loud, and it was really annoying because I was not raised like this. I do not like this kind of behavior. But then when I came here and I saw that everyone, the public transportation is so quiet and you will never hear, and if you do, it's just like sporadically. It's not something that happens every day, but like when you go to the public transportation, let it be like the metro or the bus or the tram, it's always going to be quiet and people are going to be in their stuff. They're not going to bother you with loud music. They're not going to bother you with maybe an erratic behavior or a bad behavior. And that is something that for me was, as I said before, was a shock, but it was in a good way. I think there are no bad cultural shocks. I don't know. It's just different cultures and you just need to understand them and adapt, because that's the way it is. When you move to a country, you need to adapt how things are in the country that you move to. So in this case, when I saw that this was the way of, people behaving here in the public transportation, for me this was something that was so good and so calming for me, because I am the kind of person who likes to be quiet, likes to be with their earpods listening to music or whatever. And to have this kind of behavior in the public transportation, for me it gives out a lot of respect for other people, and that's really nice, that I really respect and that I really like. Finally, and to not make this video so long, I want to talk about street harassment or harassment to women in general. This is something that rarely happens here, of course. There can be cases, it can happen, but it's not as bad as it happened when I lived in Cuba. So picture this. I am always with my earpods on all the time. And this is something that I got myself used to, because when you live there and you're women, the harassment to women is going to be super high. And you don't need to be the prettiest woman in the world. You just need to be a female and go out. You don't need to be like super well dressed, or just if you're wearing super big clothes, the harassment to women is going to be there all the time. So I would go out with earpods the entire time because I didn't want to listen to whatever that they were saying. Of course, you can fight back and whatever, but that's not going to make them stop saying the disgusting things that they are saying. They don't even care about the age you have, because when I was in school and I went to school like with my uniform, they would still mess up with me and say the most disgusting things to a kid that you can ever imagine. And so my defense was just to put on some hairpods and just go out and try not to listen to whatever that they were saying, or maybe put disgusting faces in. I've been here for like 3 years and I've had maybe one time that someone was kind of like harassing me. One time in 3 years. That is amazing. People don't stare, that I've noticed. I don't go around noticing when someone is looking at me or not, but they have never said absolutely anything. One time, one old man came to me and told me like, oh, how beautiful you are, whatever. But even that didn't feel like the way I felt when I lived in Cuba. I didn't feel harassed at all. And then after that, I don't think I've ever had any other encounter in that sense, or in any European country that I've been. Here in Romania, I've never felt insecure. Like walking at home, even when it's dark, absolutely zero. I've been feeling really good that this is not something that happens here, because if I'm ever gonna have kids, I would not want my kids to live in a place where from 10 years old they're being sexualized by men and they're being harassed by men. But yeah, basically that is everything that I had to say in this video. If you like this kind of video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, because that's gonna help me so much. And if you have any ideas of videos that you would like to see, something comparing Cuba with Romania, or maybe something about me, or maybe something about how people live in Cuba, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to hear your suggestions, and I will be more than happy to make those videos for you. That was it for today, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.